Welcome to the Equipped Disciple channel. My name is Rick McClatchy. I will be your host. We are here to be and to make disciples of Jesus, and we do that through daily devos, through Sunday sermons, and through other discipleship resources. We are here to equip you to be an equipped disciple.
Super pumped to have you back in today. We're ready to go into another session where we're going to continue to build on this foundation that we're laying of, first we started with why we're doing this, and we're starting to talk about you, the leader, who you are, some of the principles that need to drive you. We talked most recently about authenticity and intentionality and consistency and making your group all about Jesus. And so now we want to talk about you, the leader, and kind of your story, because your story really does matter. We come into what it's going to look like to work in people's lives through this thing called small groups, because your story really matters, your testimony, your life experience. And so I just like you to take some time to think through your own spiritual journey. Maybe there's some journaling that should happen here. At the very least, some good, solid reflection, just to stop and to think and to process. What was it like? Do you remember the day? Do you remember the day that you surrendered your life to Jesus? Do you remember that moment? Do you remember the weeks following that, the months following that, the excitement, the fervor, the desire to do things for God, and actually maybe even allow some of those thoughts to kind of stir you up again for what God's calling you to in this season, that excitement, that fervor, and now to think about that story, to think about what the Lord has brought you through. I want you to think about 3 particular areas of your life that kind of all contribute to this thing called your story and kind of make you who you are. The first one, and then we've talked a little bit about these already, but your passions and your interests. So to just very clearly stop and think about, what do you like? What do you enjoy? What are you about? And understanding that those things aren't by accident. Like you weren't given these interests, these talents, these focuses in your heart because of just any old kind of random reason. We believe that God created you with a purpose. And so even the things that you find you enjoy in life are things to pay attention to, because they can be part of the puzzle of what God is calling us to. So to just stop and take stock and think through what are my passions and my interests. So when we're talking about passions, talking about topics that you're passionate about, talking about maybe people, groups of people that you're passionate about reaching. Maybe you're really passionate about helping kids understand the gospel. Maybe you're really passionate about assisting, helping, discipling single moms. Maybe again, all across the board, all different kinds of categories. Maybe you're really passionate about a topic, an issue. Maybe it's homelessness, and you want to help out to conquer the topic of homelessness in your particular area. Whatever it might be, all of these things can point you to what kind of ministry, what kind of group, what kind of thing should you be about in this season. So we've got your passions and your interests. Now I want to talk about just your life experience. So again, thinking about that life story, where did you come from? Where were you born? Where did you grow up? Were you part of a military family, so you moved around a lot, and so you're used to change? Or were you kind of like me, where you grew up in one house for practically your whole life, until you went away to college? Or so all of these different factors actually kind of build different people, and those different people are then able to reach different people. And so it's important to just take some time to reflect and think through your life experience and begin to think about how some of those experiences have shaped you and how they've made you who you are, and also might point you to and help you understand even why you're interested or you're passionate about some of the topics that you're passionate about or some of the people groups that you're passionate about, because it could be that you've been given kind of a burden for an area of people simply because of where you've come from and what you've come through. So we have our passions and our interests, and then we have our life experiences. And now I'm going to talk about one that's a little more challenging. And I just want to talk for a minute about our pain. I want you, as hard as it might be, to just think through the pain you've experienced. Think about the trials you've walked through. Why in the world, Rick, would you want me to think about my pain? And it's a hard thing, but it's also a beautiful thing when we realize, perfect example, 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 3 through about 5. It says, "Blessed be the God of all comfort." Our God identifies himself as the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all of our afflictions, so that we can then comfort others with the same comfort with which we have been comforted. It's the beautiful story of redemption, that God doesn't allow you to go through trial and pain without promising to redeem it for something good. And it's a hard thing, but it's a beautiful thing. It's what flows out of Romans 8:28, that verse that can be just so flippantly quoted to people that are in the midst of hard times, like all things work together for good. Well, that verse really is true, but the way that it's applied to people's lives obviously needs to be done very carefully, because just because God's going to redeem it and make it into something good doesn't take away the pain today, doesn't comfort me necessarily in this moment, doesn't reduce the severity of the loss. But it's important to think through the journey of even the pain that you've been through, so that we can allow the Lord to work redemptively through our pain, that we would surrender even our pain to him. And actually, I believe that it leads often into those areas that we're passionate about, those interests and those passions. And it helps us again to understand the people that we should be reaching, that it could be those people that nobody else wants to reach or can reach, that you could begin to bring into your small group because you've got something in you that they connect with, that they understand, that you might, because of what you have been through and what you've experienced, you might be able to connect with someone in a way completely different than anyone else they've ever met. They might actually experience the hand, the love, the care of Jesus through you, because you have received God's grace, God's help in the midst of your challenge, in the midst of your place. So I just want you to think through those three things right there: your passions and your interests, your life experiences, and your pain, really to see the beauty of 2 Corinthians 1, 3 through 5 come to life in your life and in my life, that the pain that we've experienced wouldn't be wasted, that the pain that we've experienced would be able to be touched by the hand of God and redeemed for something incredibly valuable on the other side. Get to know a little bit more about who you are, because I believe that understanding who you are really does kind of help you understand where you're going and what you're all about. Because there is this concept called form dictates function. And so when you go into somewhere that has tools and you see a hammer, based on the way that it's shaped, based on all of that, you can kind of get an idea of what it should be used for based on the form that it was created in. And I believe God has done a lot of that in us as well, is that the way he has created us, the form that he has made us in, really helps to indicate what we should be about, what he created us for. If he formed us and he knit us together in our mother's wombs, I think he had a plan. I think he had a purpose there. And so taking a look at how he has made you and what he has walked you through can really help point you in the right direction. As we start in this journey of being a group leader, it's not just about what you do, but it's about understanding who you are in light of who God says you are, and then walking in that freedom and walking in that power and authority that He's given you to do incredible things. And so I'm really excited about that. And then I just like to wrap it up with, as we talk about who you are, and we begin to step into the topic of what kind of group are you going to lead. And I learned this from a church in Alabama called the Church of the Highlands, and they have a little tagline: "Your life is your group." What does that mean? That's a great question. I'm so glad you asked. Your life is your group means, and I alluded to it a little bit in the last session, is take a look at something in your own life that you're already doing right now and think about how could you turn that into a community, a small group type of environment. So if you're a runner and you run 3 times a week, maybe you could take one of those times and you could invite other people to run with you. If you love to bowl and you love to bowl so much that you bowl once a week, rather than doing it alone, maybe you invite a couple people to come and do it with you. If you are a book fanatic and you love to read, well, maybe one of the books that you pick this week or this month, you invite people in to do a book club, and you can take that passion, something that you're so passionate about, reading books and learning from them, and you can help other people finally be disciplined enough because they've got some accountability from the group to go through that book and to learn something new. So I want you to, as kind of a practical takeaway, do those assessments that we put in there, but also begin to think about what is already in your life. So maybe this journey about being a small group leader doesn't have to entail one more thing. Maybe it's something that's kind of right under your nose, you just didn't realize it all along, is to take stock. And I want you to list 2 very real possibilities of activities or things that you could build a group around. So again, take a look at your life, take a look at your story, your testimony, your journey, your spiritual journey with God. And then I want you to think about your passions and your interests. Think about your life experience, where you've come from, where you've been, where you're going, and then think about that area of pain. What pain have you experienced, and how has God come and touched you in the midst of that pain? And I believe all these things come together to form a really beautiful picture of who you are, but not just who you are so that you can be you, but who you are so you can have a significant impact on other people. So I hope that's helpful, and look forward to seeing you in the next session. God bless you. Have a great day.